Welcome to this very special conversation we are having with Sean Still, Senator in Georgia. In fact, this is just days to go for the key election. And Senator, thank you so much for speaking to me. And let me start by asking you in terms of your key achievements, ones that you think stand out in your term so far.
First of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for the opportunity to address all the many viewers worldwide who have interest in a very small Senate district in the state of Georgia. I was involved in 75 bills that became law in my first term in office. The one that was most significant was regarding school choice. My bill allowed children in failing school districts, or even in districts that maybe they were not working well, either academically, maybe they were being bullied or marginalized in some way, that would allow kids to transfer to other school systems, either in person or virtually. It was a great bill that had bipartisan support, and I was very proud of the fact that that it passed so significantly through both chambers and became law.
This is an important election. On your assessment, how do you stand out in comparison to your opponent?
I'm a 52-year-old father of 3 teenage daughters. So I understand what it is to be a parent. I own multiple businesses, both in the United States and in South America. So I understand what it is to sign the front of a paycheck. I know what it is to hire and fire people occasionally. Not very often. We don't lose employees very often, but I know what it is to do that. I can relate to adults, the people that are the voters. They understand, and in our district, we have one of the most affluent districts in the state of Georgia and the most culturally diverse. In contrast, I have an opponent who lives at home with his parents, doesn't have a job, projects himself as being an attorney, graduated law school, didn't pass the bar exam. It's just, there's a lot of contrast in someone who has a lifetime of service and accomplishments, and being compared to someone who has never had a job professionally other than internships.
Okay, those are some very sharp comments that you've made, and I'm going to come back to that. But first, I want to talk about your background, and specifically in terms of being indicted for being a presidential elector 4 years ago with Donald Trump. Talk to us about the charges and, more importantly, the status.
Great question. So I was asked to be a presidential elector along with 15 other people 4 years ago. And we were elected by our state Republican Party, duly elected by our state party, just as the electors were for the Democratic Party. And over the course of the November 2020 presidential election, there were about a dozen different legal challenges floating around the state. Many people thought that because the margin of difference was less than 12,000 votes out of an electorate of more than 7 million people, they thought that maybe we should review some of these legal challenges before certifying. And so attorneys, multiple attorneys, election attorneys, met with our group and said, in order to preserve a legal challenge, we're going to follow the US Constitution and we're going to fill out these documents as if Donald Trump won. But we are only doing this in the event of the election result overturning. If the results had changed and we had not met, then it would have mooted any of those legal challenges. So we only did it as advised by counsel. Now, when you look at what we did that day, and then you fast forward to what happened after, there were investigations. I was one of 2 Georgians who served as a witness to the January 6th hearings with Congress, with US Congress in Washington, D.C. I went up there at my own expense, and I was interviewed by the investigators there. They said we did no wrongdoing because they understood this was following a legal precedent that was set in Hawaii in 1960. Before I was even born, the Democrats had done the same thing, where 2 sets of elector ballots were sent to the National Archives until the election results they had exhausted any legal challenges on it. Then the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Department of Justice, came to my house and interviewed me at my kitchen table for 90 minutes. They downloaded every email and text I've ever made, and they said I did nothing wrong. There was no wrongdoing in anything that I did. Then I got elected to the Georgia State Senate. And a few months after that, a county district attorney, who I believe, if any of your followers are familiar with all of the drama surrounding Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, know that they clearly had other intentions. And of the other people that had the exact same actions as me, that showed up to one meeting, followed attorney's advice, were in a room for less than 30 minutes, that was completely open to the public and broadcast by the Associated Press and other local media, they would tell you all we did was do exactly what the attorneys told us to do, and then we left. Because I'm wearing this little button right here, I was indicted. Now, I believe that your followers may also want to know that the next chapter of that story is going to follow. So nothing has happened. The case has been stayed since May. But beginning on December 5th, there will be a hearing to discuss Fani Willis's disqualification because of the corruption that we have seen come from her office and all of the things. And that's why her lover, Nathan Wade, was disqualified as her counsel on this. So I am confident that I will be cleared of this. I am confident, and as are everyone in my life, attorneys and friends and even Democratic colleagues, are 100% confident that I will be cleared. And then I'll be able to just go back to my life and pretend like this horrible nightmare didn't occur.
All right, I gave you enough time to speak, sir. There's one thing now you can't fault us with, is to not give you time. Sir, let me come back to your opponent. Very serious charges against you have been leveled. The fact that you're anti-Hindu, Hindu-phobic. How do you respond to that?
There's an organization in the United States called CONA, Coalition of Hindus of North America. There's another organization called Hindu PAC that is a political action group entirely comprised of Hindus. I've been endorsed by Hindu PAC. I attend every event that CONA has. I'm one of their most honored guests. I am chief guest at probably 20 to 25 events annually. I'm a major supporter of Diwali. I've carried every resolution honoring India, Hinduism. Any bill that has ever come through the Georgia State Senate in my term has come from me as the sponsor of the bill. I have supporters from the Indian community greater than my opponent. So I think the expression that is applicable to this is, when you don't have facts and you don't have the law on your side, you kick and you holler and you scream and you call names and you throw insults. I have never, ever once been accused of being anti-Hindu of anyone but my opponent. And I would expect that from a child, to just scream and call names. So I don't give any basis to that at all, other than just trying to be insulting on his part.
All right, so you're being fairly harsh in terms of your view of your opponent, but then there's one very serious charge that you've leveled against him, which is that you've alleged that he has solicited children in schools across the district, and he claims that he was just trying to, in fact, get young people engaged. But I want to ask from you the proof for these very serious allegations you've made against him.
So his story has evolved now. He's on his fourth iteration of what happened. First, he denied doing it. Then he said that we faked saying that he did it. Then he said that we lied about it. Now he's trying to spin it and make it into a positive. What he did do, and if you will do an open records request on this, you can see it for yourself. He started off by trying to get the names of every child, majority of them minors, from every school in Fulton County, in the part of the district. That's over 5,000 children, the majority of whom are under the age of 18 and not voting age. Why would someone want the names of children? Why would someone want to know the names of children without seeking their parents' permission? Why would they do it and try to bypass school administrators about this? He used a platform called Discord, which is used for gaming primarily. There's over 500 million users worldwide on Discord. He has since deleted that, but it was an open Discord chat. And several people, allies to me, joined the Discord and saw that they said in very plain description, they want the children's names so that they can look at their contact data and then solicit them for campaign purposes. Now, in the United States, the voting age is 18. You can register to vote as young as 17 and a half. But when you're bypassing parental control, parental authority, bypassing school administrators and saying, I want to get their information, the way that you do it, when they tell you no, then you accept the no. What they went and did is they used a nonpartisan voting platform called the Civics Center that is designed only to be used for the purposes of getting people registered to vote. When you set up a voter registration drive in any public place in the state of Georgia, you must register with the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is who certifies elections in Georgia. We know through open records requests to the Secretary of State's office that no such request was made. So they coerced children to commit the act of soliciting the names and personal contact data. And in their Discord server, they describe in intimate detail how that they are going to use this information for political purposes to tell them how to vote, to recruit them for the campaign. As a father of 3 teenage daughters, I will never let some third party solicit their information for any purpose without my permission to do so. I don't want adults in some group that I may or may not know anything about talking to my kids. This is not how we do things in India, and this is not how we do things in America. Parents should be the ones to make that decision for their children. And their campaign, the Ramaswamy campaign, put out public statements that they wanted children as young as 13 years old to come help and learn more about their campaign and how to engage. And I'm sorry, 13-year-olds don't need to be part of the political process unless their parents take them. That's okay if the parents want to bring them to it. But I am not in a position to ever say, if you're 13, come to an event with me, but don't tell mom and dad. Let's not involve parental guidance in this. And so it's very disingenuous of him to be able to say that it was a lie, that I didn't do this. Oh, these were doctored results. Oh, I didn't do any of this. I was just trying to get kids involved. No, you weren't. You wanted to indoctrinate children. You were soliciting children to indoctrinate them. That is not okay in anywhere in the free world for any political candidate to do that. There is a full report that was written by an independent third party. I've never met them. I've never spoken to them. I've never paid a dime for the information or the work that they did. They did a detailed 10-page report outlining the path and the timeline of what the Ramaswamy campaign and he himself directed and did from January of this year until just about a month ago, when they then deleted their Discord and then denied it and said they didn't do it.
Right. Okay. So Ramaswamy campaign has a different version of all this, but I guess that's for the voters to decide which version they are willing to stick to. But thank you so much for taking all these questions. And as I said, we've given you enough time, and let's see how the election goes from here. Thank you for this conversation.